everyone, and welcome to BookTrib's 15 Minutes with, a Merrill-Moss Media production. Today we are thrilled to welcome author Herb Fried. Herb is an ordained rabbi and a movie director, having directed and produced 15 feature films, most notably Graduation Day and Tomboy, which I'm sure many of you know. Recently, he released Bashert, a novel about love transcending life and loss. It was inspired from Herb's personal experience, so we can't wait to talk more about that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Herb.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So before we start, what I actually want to ask you about is the pronunciation, because so many people either say it wrong or just aren't sure how to say it. So can you give us a little lesson on how to say the word of your novel?
The novel is called Bashert.
Bashert.
B-A-S-H-E-R-T.
Okay.
Bashert. It's
Bashert.
a Yiddish word.
All right. So, and what is the actual definition of it?
The definition is preordained or meant to be. And the point is that we must search for and hopefully find our Bashert, our soulmate in life, because that will provide the understanding of what creation is and what life is about.
Absolutely. So,
briefly.
Of course. So I have the novel here. This is Bashert. And please tell us about the novel, a little bit about the story and the characters that we're meeting.
Well, the story is about a couple. He is a writer and a film editor. He's a director and a producer. And they have a glorious life of experimentation, of travel, and that's what their love is so strong that they believe, as I believe, that there is extension to life, that love can transcend death. And one could say this is a familiar story because Marion, my wife, who passed away 5 years ago, was a writer and a film editor, and I was a director and a producer. So the question is this my biography? The answer is no. Is it fiction? The answer is partly. Marion once said it in a perfect sentence, that all biography is fiction, and all fiction is biography. So that's what the story is.
I love that. So Rocky and Molly, I believe, are our main characters, the young lovers. And while they are fictitious, are they based off of you and Marion? What were they? Why were they the people that you created?
The character of Molly was inspired by Marion's daughter, my stepdaughter, whose name is Polly. And she had with Marion that was very special. Marion, unfortunately, was afflicted in later years with a terrible disease called lupus. And when Polly would come into the room from work or wherever, she would just, nothing could help Marion ease the pain. So Polly would come in and she would just put her nose face to face and say, "Hi, Mama, I'm here." And Marion would just light up. And she was already an adult by then, but that relationship was so powerful, so transcendent. That's why I needed those characters.
So Marion died from lupus. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, a terrible, painful disease.
Absolutely. And the book was kind of your healing process in a way. How was that process for you and that journey, and did it help you heal?
Well, that's a wonderful question because I never wrote a novel before. This is my very first, and I had no intention of writing a novel. Wow. I sat down and thought I just have to find a way to connect with Marion. So I wrote a page, and I started writing, and I couldn't wait till I finished that page because I wanted to see what I'd written. Wow. And I loved it. And so I wrote another page, and then another page. And then 5 years later of working every single day, wow, I completed the novel.
Wow. What was that like at the end of that 5 years for you with the completed novel in your hands? Were you shocked? Was it something that you knew you could do? What was kind of the overall feeling for you?
My overall feeling was comfort. because it enabled me to relive those glorious years and to follow something I believe very strongly, that true love can transcend death. And in this case, it definitely has. I mean, she's very much with me. I pick up a page of the book and we relive that chapter, and then we move on from there. So it's a very living organism that I have.
Wow, that's beautiful. You recently wrote that you are, and as you've kind of mentioned already, you're a believer in the universe, kind of bringing two souls together rather than the rational approach to love. And you've written about this on your blog. Can you talk about meeting Marion, how you knew that this was Bashert, and do you have any advice on finding that one person?
Pay attention, because somewhere out there, your soulmate is looking for you. Okay. And so unless you turn away, you could very well find them or her. Marion and I met at a Writers Guild screening. And there was a comment that I made during the screening, and afterward there was this kind of cheese and wine kind of an after thing, and someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around and saw the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen, and she said, "Are you the one who said this and this?" And while she was talking, I couldn't hear a word. I just saw her, and I knew. She saw me. She heard my voice. She knew before she even saw me. She heard my voice, and she knew. And from that moment on, we weren't going to let it go. I know there are many situations where you come close, and for whatever reason, people are afraid, they're concerned, they're not sure, and they miss the greatest opportunity that life has to provide.
Absolutely.
So my advice is just stay in the game. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and trust. You can trust. You'll know when something is going wrong. But if it's not going wrong, follow it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Marion is your second wife, is that correct? And did you feel differently as she was your Bashert and your first wife she wasn't, or did you feel they were both? How does that work?
It's another very interesting question, because my first wife, Anne Maurice, were married for quite a few years, was a very well-known Broadway actress, and she's the one who helped get me to change my life. I was a rabbi when we met, and she got me involved in all of the things that I loved to do, studying acting. I studied dance, did all that, and she was my very best friend, and I did love her. I love her very dearly. She passed away. I never thought of her as my Bashert. I thought of her as a beautiful, loving woman who shared my love. And when she passed away, it was quite a terrible blow for me as well. And for a year and a half, I thought about it, and as time went on, I just found myself open and aware. So that by the time a year and a half later, when I met Marion, and there was that tap on my shoulder, and our eyes met, it was different. This was a Bashert event. This was a preordained, I believe, truly Bashert event.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, you left the rabbinate, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, all the way back in the 1960s. But you are still ordained, and you've performed weddings. How many couples at this point do you think you're up to that you've married, and do you still perform those services?
Well, I left the rabbinate 50 years ago, so I was in the pulpit, a pulpit rabbi in Lake Mahopac, New York, for 3 years, full time. And then it was actually when I married Anne, my first wife, that she got me interested in all the things that I've spent the better part of my life doing that I love. I am still an ordained rabbi, and I do perform weddings only for friends. And unfortunately, when friends pass on and I'm asked to perform a funeral, I'll do that as well. Okay. So there are some of the love function things that we do.
Okay. Now, you started out as a director of TV commercials, but then you broke into feature films. I think you mentioned your first wife helped you do that.
That's correct.
What do you think of the modern day directors who make, the leaps, like, Michael Bay and directors like that? What do you think of those directors and where they're at now, and what the switchover for you was like?
Well, they're all very gifted, and Michael Bay has done a lot of movies with Jerry Bruckheimer, and Jerry Bruckheimer was in an advertising agency
Right.
when I did Pepsi Cola commercials for him, and so we've met. The directing has changed considerably, particularly with the advent of video. Almost everybody with an iPhone, can become a director more or less.
Yeah.
A lot of people are studying. When I first started out, it was quite different. If you could put together 90 minutes of film,
Right.
celluloid, there was a place to sell it. There were theaters where people could come and watch. And so I went from one film to another, different genres, but all very enjoyable. I really enjoyed the art very much, and I enjoyed the being together, working in communities, because film is a communal event. It's not like writing a novel where you sit by yourself for years. It's, every day you're on the lot with 60, 70 people,
Right.
each one making contributions. And it's an exciting life. At my age, I think I'm past that, although I must say that it has come to me that there's a lot of interest in the book Bashert, because it reads very much like a screenplay.
Amazing.
And so it's very possible.
Well, that's exciting. And you and Marion actually made about 15 feature films together. Many of them have become popular and the quoted cult movies, if you will. Do you think personally that they've achieved that cult status that people talk about? And what do you think about those movies that fall under the category? What are your thoughts on the cult idea?
Well, I never set out to make a cult movie. It happens when you get a picture like Graduation Day that
Right.
was released 3 times
Yeah.
over 15 years. It becomes a cult, as do some of. It has no meaning for me. I mean, I make a film because I think I can inject something.
Right.
There's a lovely film, very interesting film that was with the title Haunts. It sounds like a horror film. It isn't. It's a psychological drama. It was with My Brit, with some of your listeners
Yes.
will know. And she was quite good. And then Aldo Ray and some other really lovely actors. And it was a story that we put together that had a kind of magical realism, which is what I continue to use. I've used in some of my films, and I particularly use in this novel. The book is a magical realistic book, or a book of magical realism.
Yeah.
And so those movies are fun to see, and I'm happy that people still are enjoying some of the work. But the movies now come out as used to be, that the Writers Guild would send out at the end of each year a list of 5, 6 new movies. Now they're 25, 30.
Right. Right.
So
So tell me, we have Bashert. It came out on Valentine's Day, which is so fitting and so lovely. But what's moving forward for you in 2017? Are there new projects? Are you thinking about another possible book, or was this kind of the one and only for you because of how deeply it touched you, or where are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts really are all around this book, Bashert.
Okay.
I've had probably more than 20 interviews on the radio around the country. I'll probably be talking more about it to different groups, and I love to talk about it. And I really enjoy conversing with people who ask very profound questions, like the ones you're asking me now. And because it pertains to life, it pertains to how we choose to live. It pertains to our values. And so this is a great joy for me.
Oh, good.
Able to be a rabbi without being a rabbi.
Absolutely. But a rabbi when you want to be. So honestly, I've really just kind of scratched the surface on the stories that we could talk about. We could go on for hours. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our talk for today. But for those who do want to know more about Herb and the book Bashert, you can visit herbfried.com and you can read all about, his adventures and inspirations on his blog. And of course, you can pick up Bashert, which is on sale right now. And Herb, it's been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much for talking to us and really helping us to understand this idea of Bashert and how much it's touched you and been a part of your life.
Well, thank you so much. I'm here to tell a story. I'm on earth. I believe that's my function in life at the moment. I have a story about love everlasting, and that's what I want to do. And if I can contact or connect with similar souls, with kindred spirits, then I'm a very happy man.
Amazing. And we love stories here, so that's most important for us. So thank you so much for joining us. And if, something happens with Bashert down the line, we can't wait to talk to you about it.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be talking to you today.
Absolutely. You have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.